Hey guys, it's me, Monster NC12, back with another video. In this video, we will be playing Cuphead, but we can only use the uncharged charge shot. This is going to be a really hard challenge. Actually, this challenge took me around 6.5 hours to record. So I hope you guys enjoy this video, and let's get into it, starting off with the root pack. Alright guys, with the root pack, it's really easy, but the bad thing is, at the beginning, as you can tell here, I almost died. But the good thing for me is I never actually died. So here is my knockout right now. Thing is, unlike with the pea shooter, this was one of the only two first tries. Every boss in this video was a nightmare, and it took me over double the time to beat them. So let's go next to Ribby and Croaks. Ribby and Croaks were not easy like the root pack. I died a couple of times, but of course, as you can tell, this weapon is a really hard one to use. You have to manually press every shot. Plus the fact that, unlike Chaser, it does not lock on. It has no special effect. This is a really, really difficult weapon to use. Plus the factor of how annoying it is and how much it hurts your fingers after doing it for almost 7 hours. Here are my deaths and knockout now. As you can see here, I died to the same attack twice until finally on the same attack achieving a knockout, leading to my victory and moving us on to the next boss. Next up is Goopy Legrand. Goopy Legrand was quite an easy boss. I'm pretty sure he was the only other boss I beat first try. I almost died beating him though, but luckily I didn't and beat him first try. Here is my knockout. And here we go, a knockout, leading us on to our next boss on this list. Just a quick note, I am not doing any plain bosses throughout this video. Plain bosses are strictly prohibited. Next up is Cagney Carnation. It would have been Hildeberg, but she was a plain boss. Cagney Carnation was not an easy boss though. I did die a few times. I'm going to put up my deaths and victory on screen now. We die one time, but then end up beating Cagney Carnation in her own game. This boss was quite easy compared to what we had coming up in Aisle 2. Well, this concludes the Aisle 1 area and leads us into our zone of Aisle 2's Nightmare. Alright guys, next up is Baroness von Bonbon. She was a pretty easy boss, but due to the amount of how hard it was to spam click and dodge at the same time, I died quite a bit of times. Also because I couldn't predict where waffle guy or chocolate, whatever he is, I think he's a waffle, where he would shoot. I couldn't predict where it was, so I kinda died to him quite a bit. Alright, I'm gonna show you guys my deaths and my victory right now. We die 3 times, all in the final phase, but then we finally achieve victory against Baroness von Bonbon. Really hard fight, but it's nothing compared to some of the others we face later on in the video, which is where the hours of suffering come from. Next up is Beppy the Clown. His final phase, second phase, third phase, all his phases, they're all annoying, except the first really. The first one's just easy, but the thing is, the way you know this does less damage is because the fact is, it took even longer than usual for him to die. Right there is when he would have died, but now it took him until right there, meaning that this fight was going to take even longer than usual, which begins the pain and suffering of this boss. I will show you my deaths and victory right now. I died 6 times. Of course, these are all my deaths, playing right before you. And then, I achieved victory, which this took me a while because I reset many times during this as well, which I sadly am not going to show you. Alright, well, let's go on to the next boss on our list. Alright, next up was Grim Matchstick. He's known to be a really challenging boss to new players, but of course I thought this boss was going to be a simple cakewalk compared to what's to come. But sadly I was mistaken, but one thing I did know is that this boss was just preparation for the future, no matter how bad it was. I had so many deaths, to the point where I knew that this boss, even though it was preparation, was still a nightmare, making me realize how much of a pain the rest of this fight was going to be. But the good thing is, not long after all these deaths, I ended up succeeding in getting rid of Grim Matchstick, gaining me victory. Good for me, but the bad thing is, I still knew this was just preparation for the next fight coming up ahead, also known as the Queen Bee, Rumor Honeybottom. Well, here we are, Rumor Honeybottom. This is when the nightmare begins. First, we got the first phase, which is really easy. Second phase, still pretty easy. Only thing is, I kept getting hit by stuff off screen. But third phase, final phase, was a nightmare. I was put to the side, making sure I had to fight for my life, while fists were coming out of the walls, trying to punch me, and coming down onto me when I was at the bottom, while saws were cutting across the screen. But eventually, I won, but of course, I died many times before I could. Here are my deaths and one victory right now. But then, finally, victory was achieved, and the Queen Bee was taken out, leading us to our next boss. Next up was Warner Worman. He was a really easy boss. He should have been easier than I made him look. I died many times due to the factor of me not paying attention. I'll put up my deaths and victory on screen now. I died so many times, yet this is one of the easy bosses of the game, making me wonder what the rest of the bosses are going to be like, because I don't know how they're going to be, because I know how easy this boss is. So, let's move on after this to a victory. We knock down the cat's face to reveal Warner Worman inside, controlling it the entire time. Alright, next up, let's go on to Captain Briny Beard. Alright, next up, Captain Briny Beard. This boss was supposed to be really, really easy. I consider him to be one of the easiest bosses in the game. But, somehow, I died to him many times. I'll put those deaths up on screen right now. We had a total of 8 deaths from this boss. But, of course, what you're seeing on screen, after all 8 of these deaths, we ended up beating the boss. Brineybeard and his ship in their own game, causing me to gain victory over the ship and its captain, which was really actually nice because I'm relieved that I got to get all of it out, all of the energy out. Alright, let's continue. Next up, Sally Stage Play. Sally Stage Play was pretty easy, except for the factor of the last two phases, I kept getting stuck and missing the star in the third phase for the wave. Took too much damage in the second phase, and in the fourth phase, I ended up not being able to shoot her due to how high she was and the factor that this cannot log on. So you're about to see the hell I went through in order to get you guys this video. Alright, there we go, guys. Knock out on this boss. That took quite a bit of deaths, but it took 40 seconds worth of deaths on your guys' part, but it took a lot more of mine. Alright, guys, next up we have the Phantom Express. The Phantom Express was a pretty hard fight, but of course, I died many times, just like every other fight. I died so many times, it was crazy. But, yep, I'm gonna show you my deaths and victory now. Alright, let's begin. Alright, guys, we die 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times. And then victory. Victory right after. Which is actually really good because now we can move on to the final two bosses of Cuphead, which are the Devil and King Dice in Inkwell Hell. Alright, guys, now we have one of the final bosses of the game, King Dice. I know I died a few times, I think it was only a few, so, you know, I'm going to show you guys my death and my one and only victory. Alright, have a good time watching me suffer. We die 5 times. 3 times to the dominoes, and 2 times to the dice man himself. But after that, we go in and finish the job on King Dice, and move in to the fight of the devil. Now it's time. We fight the devil. Let's begin. I will show you all of my deaths and my victory. And that will end off the video with status of how easy this video was, how much I died, how long it took me, and how good I think the weapon I used is. We die many times before the devil's end. But of course, though we've had many failures, at the end, we did succeed in ending the tragedy for all of the people. Which was fun, but now, Here comes the devil's demise and fall of power. We have beaten the devil and are now the king. Alright. Well, that was a good video, guys. I hope you guys had as much fun watching as I did playing. Which, of course, I had fun playing, but it was hard. And, of course, as I promised, here are the stats for the time. Here are the stats right now.